Hello everyone, my name is Dale Danker. I'm the president here in Tulsa Transport Workers Union, Local 514. I'm also an international vice president of the TWU, and I want to give you a summary here, report on where I've been, what's been going on around the system, what we're working on here locally, meetings I've been to. So I know that I reported this stuff out in the membership meeting earlier this week on Monday, and Al is going to, our IT guy, he helps create this thing called the 514 Digest, which is on our website and which we get out to some social media platforms. And I also try to make these videos and say this is what we're up to. So just bear with me, because if I don't go right down it here, I'll have missed something. So getting older, I gotta wear these. January 18th through the 21st, I attended a meeting in Miami, Florida with Gary Scheibel and Raleigh Reeves. We needed to talk to John Samuelson and Alex Garcia to discuss some structural issues within the air division. We were able to meet with both of those gentlemen, and that drove another meeting that come up on January 31st. But before we get to that, on January 26th, I attended a base business review meeting with VP of Base Maintenance Greg Emerson, and the big thing that come out of that meeting, what was a red flag to me, was they reported out that they, out of Tulsa, DWH, Pitt, Charlotte, and the MROs where they send airplanes, they had slipped over 400 days of production in the calendar year 2020. We'll talk about that again here in another minute. January 31st, I met in Dallas at the Air Division office with Mr. Scheibel and Mr. Reeves. Gary Peterson and Mike Mays also was in the meeting. That meeting was scheduled to discuss those things that arose from the January 18th to 21st meeting in Miami, Florida. That's also the reason why I canceled the January 31st membership meeting. I wasn't able to attend the December meeting. And I did not want to I wouldn't want to have to miss 2 meetings in a row, not be able to be available to answer questions from those that come to the meeting. So we canceled that meeting and moved it to this past Monday. But in that meeting there in Dallas with Mike Mays chairing the meeting, we met for 6 hours. There was no breaks and no lunches. If you had to go take a bio break, get up and go and come back. We discussed what myself and Scheibel and Reeves believe was the continuing loss of our local autonomy, which was hindering our ability to represent our membership. The meeting was contentious at times. Things were said that needed to get off people's chest and just air it out. At the end of the meeting, Mike Mays had made the statement that the locals will handle their grievances from start to finish, even if that means going to arbitration. So we were thankful for the meeting. We were thankful that Mike did a good job chairing the meeting, and we were able to express our concerns for our locals. On February the 10th, here locally, over here at the hall, Joe Brown chaired the meeting along with E-Board Officer Scott Chisholm. In attendance was Norman Vaughn and Jacob Crosser, Lonnie Thomas, Clarence Jones, I believe that Clarence goes by Reggie though, Rowdy Hoover, C.J. Ward, and Shannon Jones. And it's not a meeting for me to say come and attend and speak to these guys. Joe does a good job of listening to what their concerns are and elevating them. But it was encouraging to me to sit down and visit with these younger guys, younger and newer members, and hear their perspective on issues from the floor. And I would just like to encourage newer members or younger members to reach out to these gentlemen if they have questions or concerns, that might come from being a younger or a newer employee at American Airlines. But you can contact Joe Brown and Scott Chisholm. Their numbers are out there. Eventually they will take the Future Leaders Committee and I think develop a package that will go into the new hire orientation. I'd like for one or two or several of these guys to be able to come and speak at the new hire orientation to kind of give a better perspective to a newer, younger employee. And so we're working on those things. February 15th through 16th, I attended a GRB meeting at American Airlines headquarters in Dallas. GRB stands for Grievance Review Board. It was something that was put into the contract to try to see one last opportunity to resolve an issue before it has to go in front of an arbitrator. VP Kendall Anderson, Chairwoman of MLS Linda Deal, and Chairman of Facilities Maintenance Travis Scott. They went down also with us, with Kendall and I, to speak on several cases that concerned their classifications. We were able to achieve some success on a few, and on those that were denied by the company, some movement on. The board will decide the disposition of those cases going forward. I left that trip and left Kendall and Linda and Travis there, and I had to leave and go over to another base business review at the DWH hangar facility, the small base there on the airport property, which was held by VP of Base Maintenance Greg Emerson. The red flag again in January for me that I heard was that just in the month of January they had slipped over 60 days of production. They were happy that they had got their overtime under 5%, and they had mentioned, as they mentioned the month prior about the year 2020, that they were still under head count for the amount of scheduled work coming in, and that was driving some of the issues with meeting the turn times. Paul Guntert is a facilities director, was given a facilities report and mentioned that in Tulsa they were reviewing over 1,300 PMs, which is preventive maintenance scheduled programs. They had completed over 300 of those reviews, and I asked Paul for a report on those PMs that they had reviewed and were going to review if they drove a safety issue, because as an example, in the plating shop, say you have a tank that overflows, or you have an air handler that goes down and it's not sucking the vacuum off the tanks and alarms don't go off, or the chain of safety events that have to happen aren't necessarily happening like they need to be, and I want to know if that's driven because there's not a PM that's being performed or there's not a PM written. So to me, if it's a PM and it has zero to do with affecting somebody being safe at work or the machinery that they're working on, if it gets missed or it slips or something, that's another conversation. But if it's a conversation where they're not able to perform a PM, or somebody in the company is pencil whipping it or saying, oh, we don't need to do that, that's going to drive overtime, or we don't need to do that because we're trying to have other guys do something, and there's vendors in the mix, I'd like to know if there's PMs that's not being performed that drive a safety issue. He did mention that he would get that report to me. Then they gave the MLS report. And while the MLS report was being given, Ed Sangrico stood up and asked some questions, which I thought were very good questions from him. MLS was given a report on how many parts were delivered within a certain time frame, and how many were not delivered within a 24-hour period. And Ed made the comment along the lines of, look, well, we're getting measured by a 24-hour increment on our planes that are slipping, but yet I have guys ordering parts, they can see the warehouse, they can't get the part over here in a 24-hour period, and that's a problem. Now, this issue has been going on my whole career, 34 plus years. I think 33 plus or 34, I lose count. But it's been the same argument, and it's not the guys ordering the part problem, it's not MLS that's taken the orders issue, it's the systems and the way that the management has said this is the system we're going to use to order parts to get it to the airplane, and then they turn around and measure how many days you may or may not have got the airplane accomplished on time. By some of these things are the issue. So they need to close the loop on it. I mean, they need to close the loop on the systems they have to get parts to the airplane. So I know I'm preaching to the choir, because all of you that work out there know if you're waiting on a part, the part you're working on setting. I did have a one-on-one with Mr. Emerson after the meeting, and I continue to stress to him that asking for a DAT day and getting it approved in Tulsa is a big issue, and I asked him to compare how many DAT days were paid back to Tulsa, Charlotte, Pitt, and DWH. My reason for this is that if at the end of the year the percentage they paid back to Pitt, Charlotte, and DWH is lower than the amount of DAT days paid back in Tulsa, that might raise a red flag to say, hey, they're awarding more DAT days to these bases, and here in Tulsa they're using a different criteria to say, yeah, we're to the allotment, but above the allotment the crew chief says that we can handle it. I'm not comfortable, and none of you guys are and gals are either. Asking for a DAT day above the ratio is a problem, and then they wonder why planes are getting slipped. But it's frustrating. February 21st to 25th, I attended an International Executive Council meeting. You'll hear me refer to that as an IEC meeting in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm an international vice president, which I'm elected, or you get elected to those positions every 4 years at the convention. And as an international VP, I sit on the International Executive Council. We review and approve the international financial reports, committee reports, officer reports. Usually at the end of every meeting, International President John Samuelson will open it up for a floor discussion. And as always, I have questions to ask. And I asked John if he could report out any information about getting the TW out of the association, to which he said there are things happening behind the scenes from the direction that he was given from the floor at the convention. International convention was in September 2020. So we'll see how that goes. While I was at the IEC meeting in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, we left that hotel, went to another hotel, and had an AA President's Council meeting, which hadn't taken place since before 2015 when we started negotiating the lengthy contract negotiation with American Airlines. It's where the TW local presidents that represent people in American Airlines get together and discuss all the issues, because the truth of the matter is they handle things differently from station to station, whether they should or should not, and it gives us an opportunity to talk to our peers about that. During that meeting, Mike Mays reiterated the fact that the local presidents will take their cases forward to arbitration. He will make sure that American Airlines attorneys understand that we could go forward to arbitration without the IAM. Gary Peterson gave a report out officer changes within the IAM, that Cito Pantoja and Tim Klima are no longer working in the association. They remain IAM employees, but I think they're in the education or training department. Dave Suplee was the president of IAM District Lodge 142. That lodge handled all maintenance and related, but not fleet issues, contractual things. It's my understanding from the information that the IAM has put out that Mr. Suplee has been charged with embezzling funds and therefore has been removed from the office and is no longer associated with the IAM. Stay tuned on how that all pans out, IAM General Chair John Coveney has been selected as a replacement for President of District Lodge 142. Also discussed at the President's Council meeting were seniority protests, dues check-off issues, upcoming meetings with AA on outsourcing reports related to contractual scope language in Article 6. I also asked Gary Peterson where we stand on the point system that American has adopted for all of us that gives you, if you call in sick, you get disciplinary points for that. He said, Dale, obviously we're moving forward to arbitration. We still need to settle on the arbitrator and set a date for the hearing. That's where we're at with that. But locally here in Tulsa, we're facing issues like getting the DAT request. Getting a DAT requested and approved is a big issue. The company continues to trend away from Saturday, Sunday off to things like Tuesday, Wednesday off. They've threatened, well, Dale, if you want to go forward and say that we need to put more people on Saturday, Sunday off, right now we offer Friday, We offer a Friday, Saturday, a Saturday, Sunday, a Sunday, Monday, and a Tuesday, Wednesday. And if you wanted to push that to where we have more people on Saturday, Sunday, then it's probably going to look like we have people on Thursday, Friday off, Saturday, Sunday off, Monday, Tuesday off. So I continue to evaluate that and think on how might be an approach to convince them that having Tuesday, Wednesday off, and to continue. They don't even offer those guys overtime on their days off. They typically, the Tuesday, Wednesday guys are at the bottom of the scale, and they would like to have the opportunity to work some overtime so they could help their family. And what days do they don't typically offer overtime? Tuesday, Wednesday. So, you know, they continue to crew chief dodgeball. I call it dodgeball. Dodgeball picking after the bid selection. They're playing musical chairs in the toolbox rooms and with your toolboxes and having you move them around. And they scream and yell about lost production, and all I really hear them say is the meetings will continue to morale improves. They just don't get it, and so I need you to help. We all need to help each other. Help them get it. Don't pass up an opportunity to tell a supervisor, a manager, a managing director, a VP that might come for a town hall. Do not pass up an opportunity to let them know exactly how you feel about how things are being ran. In closing, though, I want to say that we had a good membership meeting this past Monday. It's the February membership meeting, and my thanks to those members that showed up and participated. I'd like to encourage everybody to, try to attend a meeting sometime this year if you can. And I know that some got lives outside of work, and they hit their car and off they go, and they don't have time. For those that can't come to a meeting, we post our information on our TW 514 website, Facebook, Twitter. These videos go out on YouTube, and I'd like to ask you to hit the subscribe and the like and subscribe button, or the notification button, and when they post you'll get a ding saying it's there. And then we're always available. Myself and the officers are available 24/7. My cell phone number is 918-636-6089. And hopefully I won't be going to so many meetings in this month of March and April. And see y'all out there on the floor. Thank you.